Hey, where does the food we eat come from? Well, I don't know, but I want the soil! Where do the clothes come from? I don't know, maybe it's the soil! Hey, how about the gas in our cars? That comes from the plants are dead. The soil! But just how is soil formed? Well, soil comes from rocks. See that crack right there? So if water gets into that crack and that water freezes, it expands and draws that crack apart, acts as a wedge, breaking that rock down into smaller and smaller fragments. Plants can also break apart rocks. This plant is coming out of this big rock formation. Those roots are strong and they are digging into that rock. Now this breaking down or dissolving of rocks is called weathering. As soon as those particles move, we call it erosion. This rock is huge. This rock breaks down to this rock. And then this rock breaks down into even smaller fragments like this. So this breaking down of rocks, this is the building blocks of soil. But we're not done yet. Soil is actually made up of 4 main parts. Number 1, as we talked about earlier, minerals. Number 2 and 3, you can't even see, air and water. And number 4, my personal favorite, organic matter. In 1 teaspoon of garden soil, we have billions of bacteria, millions of fungi, nematodes, protozoa, earthworms, a whole list of other creatures. Now, it actually starts with the roots. The roots perspire, much in the same way that I am right now, sugars, simple starches and amino acids that the bacteria are drawn to because everybody loves sugar. The bacteria and now mycorrhizal fungi come in, completely encrusting the roots and spread throughout the soil. Every time a member of this soil food web goes number 1 or number 2, the plant actually gets a blast of organic fertilizer right at their little tiny baby root hairs. So this is a circular system. This is occurring without any chemical inputs. This is recycling. This is how nature works. And when your system is in balance, you have this. You have healthy plants. When you have a healthy living soil, everything just seems to work better. The plants will actually secrete chemicals that make them unpalatable to insects. It's like an immune system. Think about someone who takes care of their body and drinks kale shakes every day. That person is less likely to have a heart attack. But if you don't, if you live your life in a way that is unsavory, you smoke cigarettes and you eat kind of bad food, you're more likely to get sick. And so many of our plant diseases and pest attacks are because of that, because we've set up a soil that isn't a living soil. So the first thing you want to do when you're thinking about problems in your garden,
there are many limiting factors to corn production. Prevalence of insect pests is one major constraint.
imagine you're an insect that likes corn. If you have a whole field of corn and nothing else, that's a smorgasbord for you and your friends. Instead, we want to up our plant diversity, planting other types of plants. What that's gonna do is attract predators to that corn insect and other things. We talked to Lynn Fang from Sarvadiya Farms to find out more.
So one thing that we're doing is planting more native plants. So in between these vegetable fields, we have planted more native plants, and there's going to be a whole diversity of different types of native plants, and that'll bring in a diversity of insect life that will help keep those pest pressures down.
Then it was that southwestern rivers ran muddy with the color of soil, no longer anchored for the grass.
Remember earlier when we were talking about erosion? Well, erosion is a natural process, but we humans are speeding it up in unnatural ways.
Floods became larger and more frequent. Turgid waters tore apart the farmlands of the Middle Valleys, hundreds upon hundreds of acres every year.
So why is this happening? Well, our agricultural practices, the way we farm, is largely responsible for why we have this problem. Erosion is highest when you have layers that are completely unprotected from the sun. So think of your skin.
You and I have a coat of armor that protects our bodies from the outside world. It's our skin.
Our skin protects our internal organs inside of our body. We want to synthesize the same concept with our soils. We either want to add very lush, dense growth, or we want to add mulch, wood chips on top of our beds, or just any land we have to protect it from erosion and to nourish the soil microbiology. And why is this important? Well, if we have no topsoil, we have no food, and we already struggle with malnutrition and famine. It's estimated that by 2050, we're gonna need to grow 50% more food than we are now to feed a growing population of about 9 billion people. So what do? We take control of one patch of soil. Whether it be the soil in a few pots on your balcony or the soil dying to say hello under your lawn. Whether you're in a house that you own or a house that you're renting or an apartment, you can take control of one patch of soil. Grow something. Learn about the soil. Learn about the rhythms of nature. Don't overwhelm yourself. It's easy. And it's anarchy.